Hey Cyclocross fans, I'm Greg Keller of the Boulder Cyclosport Ambassadors team, and we are here today at Apikol, one of our great sponsors, and we're going to tell you a little bit about them. Apikol is a manufacturer of aftermarket high-performance products for Audi, Volkswagen, and Porsche, among other auto manufacturers. We're here to talk with Doug Schuler today, one of the co-founders, about his company, about all the wonderful parts that they make to improve performance on German engineered sports cars, and of course understand what the future looks like with Apikol in the bike industry. Come on in, let's have a look. Team, and I'm here with Doug Schuler, co-founder of Apikol, a manufacturer of performance aftermarket components for German engineered automobiles. So we have some questions for Mr. Schuler, and as one of our great sponsors, we wanted to give you the opportunity to learn more about Doug, learn more about Apikol, and understand what the future holds for the company as it relates to the biking industry. So first off, Mr. Schuler, and incidentally, Mr. Schuler is a teammate on Boulder Cyclosport, so make note of that, friends. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, technically, the biking stuff is sort of an offshoot of the car and racing background that we have. The company got started basically because we were just graduated from college. We had a lot of engineering know-how and had people asking us to do little projects for them, little one-offs, say, hey, this isn't available, I'd like to do this for my car, and it snowballed from there. So
your background is in industrial design or mechanical engineering?
Both Brendan and I, the other owner of Apikol, are both mechanical engineers, and both obviously into racing and riding bikes, driving cars fast, having fun.
That's true. So it's a automobile at this point. We'll talk about the biking stuff in a second, but right now Apikol manufacturers, we'll also see some of the parts in a second, some very, very high-end performance boosting materials. So clearly you kind of have to be a car nerd. How did you get into car racing and then understanding what type of performance needs there were for enthusiasts?
I guess we just kind of fell into it out of a project in college where we would basically design and build a race car each year. So it was called the Formula SAE program. It was sponsored by the Big Three in Detroit. We'd drive a big truck of college clowns out there and compete against 100 other schools and do it again the next year. So when we got out of college, we needed to find some way to make money doing the same thing.
And what was the school?
For CU.
Oh, no kidding. So this is a CU. Make note, future students, you too can be manufacturing high-end car components. That's rad. So with respect to Apikol and there's a huge ecosystem of aftermarket manufacturers. I'm making the assumption here, but what does Apikol specialize in terms of the types of products that you have that you offer the market?
I'd say we specialize just in parts where they're, like you say, they're ultra high-end, they're machined out of billet, they're not cast out of plastic or anything like that. And just the feel and look of the parts is something you'd expect from a German car. So, there's a lot of companies out there and things you can buy from China that are cheap and they may work, but our stuff is not cheap. It works really well. And also, usually the performance is much better than anything else you can buy. So
does your portfolio have like end-to-end solutions from intake to exhaust, or do you work on braking, or what type of stuff do you work on there?
I wouldn't say we specialize in anything. If anything, we find a part that hasn't been already produced by somebody else, or something that hasn't been done well, and we'll attack that. Or if it's something personally that we say I want in my car, I'll just build one and then sell it to other people.
So that brings up a good question. Typically, like any business, I'm in the software industry, so you have from idea to delivery of the product. What is your design process here?
Typically it starts with either an idea we have or a need we see in the market, or something a customer could bring to us that they see a need for. And if we can determine there's a market for it, we'll go ahead and do it. So we'll start out with either an idea sketch on a napkin, just like you would with the software industry, and then obviously go through prototyping and CAD design stages, test fitting, final production run, test fitting, and then we'll just we'll pull the trigger and get a whole bunch of parts made and just distribute them all throughout the world.
Got it. So this brings us now to an interesting, part of your business, which is, as you and I have discussed in the past, the sort of experimentation. You're sort of dipping your toe into the world of bicycle component manufacturing, aftermarket manufacturing.
Right.
If you could tell us a little bit about what the future holds there. I know it's very early on, but tell us a little bit about how you're starting to dabble in this world and bridging the gap from the automobile industry to the biking industry.
Right. Obviously, the process for either industry is very similar. Mm-hmm. You have an idea and then you end up with a part, at the end of the process. But obviously, since we're bike enthusiasts here and spend a lot of time racing bikes and wrenching on bikes, it's pretty close to our hearts. Is something else we can do. But basically, just taking the know-how and the engineering skill and knowledge of vendors and everything else, and rolling that up to where we can help people who have ideas for inventions or new designs, not necessarily just in the bike industry, but any industry, and be able to help them as consultants.
I see. I got it. So the final question before we go and look at some of the amazing things that you guys have manufactured. You and I are cyclists. We usually end up every Wednesday morning out slogging each other and training on the crack rides. What's your favorite discipline of cycling?
Favorite discipline is tough. Obviously, it's fall. We got snow on the ground. Cyclocross is going to be #1 right now.
Yep.
But in the spring and in the summer, when the high mountains are nice and dry, you got to get out on the mountain bikes and get up there. So.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, Doug has a great pedigree. Tell us about your summer of mountain biking and some of the accomplishments you've had.
This year I went out to Sun Valley, Idaho, to Mountain Bike Nationals, and I think it was 4th in the Cat 130 to 34 race and 3rd in the Super D Masters race. So
huge.
It went pretty well.
That's right. We're happy to have you on the team.
Thank you, sir.
Doug. Next up, we're going to see some of the goodness out here in the work bay. So now you know a little bit about Doug and a lot about Apikol. Let's show you some of the good stuff. Here I have in my hand one of the fine aftermarket products that has been designed and engineered and manufactured by Apikol. I hand it over to Doug because he's the professional here. And Doug will show us an example of what was on the car and what can be on your car and why.
All right, Greg, so what we have here is a rear differential mount out of an Audi. Most likely, say an 04 Audi S4, something like that. And as you can see, it has all these rubber webs in here, bushings from the factory to keep things nice and smooth, very German, no vibrations, no problems. And we come up with an aftermarket urethane mount, which does transmit a little bit more vibration into the cabin, makes the car feel a little bit more alive. But what it does is basically take out all the slop in the drivetrain, makes the car very tight, and just makes it feel more performance oriented, less of an isolated luxury car.
Got it. We have some other amazing examples, especially for those in the mountain bike world. If you understand what your disc brake calipers look like, point your eyes over to this. This is one of the more marquee pieces that Apikol manufactures, so keep your eyes peeled when you're looking at Audis and other German performance cars, and look for that very, very sort of idyllic light powder blue disc brake. Let's talk about this, Doug. I want to hear about what kind of performance improvements you guys achieve with this work of art.
Okay, this is definitely one of our more aggressive kits. This one was custom done just for us in the blue color, as you say. But the brake upgrades are one of our most popular items. So essentially we'll take a Porsche caliper. This is a Brembo 6-piston caliper, came factory on a OEM Porsche, and we'll make adapter brackets basically to take these fancy Brembo rotor or Brembo calipers and bolt them over various stock Audi rotors, just as an easy brake upgrade. So you just buy the caliper, the bracket, the rotor, everything bolts up, and you have a great brake upgrade.
Amazing. We have some other, also some pieces down here that show off some of the welding and very intricate work that you guys do. What do you have here?
This is one of the intercoolers we did for a local customer. He has a project he's working on. Basically had all these parts and he wanted to make an intercooler, so we helped him out. We custom made a few pieces, drilled holes for pressure sensors and things like that, and welded it together for him.
And what is this going on?
This is going on actually an old pickup truck, I
No
believe.
kidding.
But yeah, we do a lot of custom work for local customers, actually, around the country too, that have heard of us and know our expertise in welding, building intercoolers is something we do a lot of as well.
So there you have it. We hope you've learned a little bit about Doug Schuler, and we hope you've learned a lot about Apikol, his company, and all the types of work that they do for the performance aftermarket industry. We want to give Doug a huge thanks for the support that he's given the Boulder Cycle Sport team and all that he does in the cycling community.
We're glad we could help out and have the means to help out the ambassadors team, and we'd just like to support the cycling community. So if anyone out there has projects or repair, performance work they need done on German cars, we'd love to have them in here.
Cheers. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Greg.
Hope you enjoyed it.